Hello everyone, welcome back to more 5D chess with multiverse time travel. I forget exactly which games I won last episode and which games I lost, but like, wouldn't it be nice to win some eventually against this balanced computer? I'm sure I won some, but they were like, I won a small game at least, right? I forget how the timeline invasion game went. I think I won that, right? Some sort of, I promoted or something? I don't know. I'm sort of torn on like what really is interesting to play. I guess we'll just play standard. Seems fine. Timeline Invasion was pretty cool. I might revisit that sometime. All right, we're white, so that's nice. As before, we want to avoid opening lines to the king, which means like contesting the center is not nearly as great an idea as it is in traditional chess. Knight openings seem overall good. Maybe this knight. Sure. Now, actually, planting this knight here is an interesting thing, has an interesting effect which I hadn't thought of, which means now I can actually afford to move this pawn more easily because it's not opening a line to my king. Huh. I mean, if the knight gets kicked away, this is a little more vulnerable, but there's no direct line to my king opened up by moving this pawn, which means I could maybe let this bishop out in a better direction over to here sometime. For now, though, I think I'll just contest the pawn with a piece. If he kicks me, I don't mind moving here, get into the center. He's not doing that, though. He's defending the pawn, that's fine. I'd like to keep this structure intact so I can castle into it kingside. That means moving this pawn pretty early and then castling right away to get to safety. I would love to trade queens. The queen is the piece the computer is best with and I'm worst with. I'm okay at figuring out knight and bishop stuff. So this seems like an okay way to try to get something going. I guess I could push him further. Now that the line is open, it doesn't matter super much that I'm more exposed here, and this contests the center a bit better. All right, so I think I can develop the bishop relatively safely, right? And that opens me up for castling. I don't know what this pawn is up to, but I don't want any part of it. Let's just get castled and safe so this temporary vulnerability doesn't become a permanent one. I think this is fine. Defend the knight and inconvenience this knight. He's now basically stuck, and my knight can't be kicked away because he doesn't have anywhere good to go, right? He could go here, but otherwise this pawn advancing would be a big nuisance for me. Okay. I guess actually letting a knight get so close to my king is scary in another way. Yeah, this space is becoming pretty dangerous. But I think I should be able to deal with this knight. Let me just keep my knight in place to preserve what's left of my kingside structure, I guess. Okay, here he comes. But I still don't see any immediate serious threats from him. The biggest issue I could see is if he went like a turn into the past and landed here, my king has to recapture, and in that timeline, the king is very sensitive, right? So what's a turn into the past look like for black? It's this space. In that universe, I still have this pawn protecting my king, so that's like not the end of the world, I think. I think I want to develop a threat like this, maybe? This is pretty serious, right? It's attacking the queen, and it's also attacking this fork position. And getting a knight deep into black territory is as scary for him as this knight is for me, right? I don't know, though. This knight might be an emergency. Because if there's a black knight here and I take it with my king, I guess I'm only pretty exposed. No, I'm very exposed, aren't I? Because there's still this knight here as well who can swoop in and grab this. And then yeah. If this guy goes back in time a turn and lands on this space, then a past version of my king will be in check, and I'll have to take him. And then this knight can jump here, and another past version of my king will be in check, and I won't be able to take him. So actually, this is threatening checkmate, like mate in 2 coming here. So I really can't afford to play around with stuff like attacking the queen. I have to do something like... I think if I put my knight here, that defends in a way, right? Because now, suppose knight here. My king can take. And that doesn't really help, does it? Yeah, this knight's a serious problem. Wow. Not sure what I'm supposed to do about him. Maybe I have to find some more serious threat of my own. Like, this bishop could go sort of far back in time and nab this pawn, for example. And then I have some bishops in the... I have a bishop in the back who's attacking a knight, which is fine. But I can, like, maybe swing in here with my knight. Yeah, like, this attack with the knight was here before. If I had made it then, it would be doing a bit more. Now this knight... Yeah, castling really exposed me to this knight in a way that I did not foresee. So I wonder if this is the time to go back and try another approach. The other thing I suppose I could try is sending this knight back in time preemptively, with the idea of being ready to counteract this knight's threat once he jumps. I don't know. I'm not actually sure that'll work. I just want to, like, establish an alternate timeline that knights can jump from. Maybe. Like, if I go... If I go here, say, it always shows you this animation the first time you time travel after starting the game, so that's why you see it some games and not others. If I were here, this board is obviously well protected, and I have this crack team of knights covering this space pretty well in any dimension, right? Because this is where the threat is, I think, from this knight. If he jumps here, I can move either 1 or 2 spaces to the side, and then, like, 1 dimension over. Or 2 if he forks off his own timeline. Yeah, so he'll be on his own timeline, so this knight will be the one protecting this square. I think this is a good idea. And then I can, in this timeline, move the knight up here to try and initialize that attack I was talking about before. It's a weird play, just looking at it, because it doesn't seem obvious. Like, why is this knight here important? And I think it's because of this knight. All right, the queen has moved. But we can still attack her. Or maybe come over here even more and try to fend off this some more? I don't know. This seems fine, though. Or maybe I want to get a queen over into this area somehow. Like, if I could get this knight out of the way. I can't, really, but... I mean, I could send him out of the world, I guess. It would be creating a timeline that's not active, but it gets him out of the way. In this timeline? I don't know how great that is, though. It seems not great, is the answer. Developing this pawn is what led to my issues before, isn't it? Yes, because he made me recapture this pawn. I needed this available to capture the knight. But now if he pushes the pawn to try to force me to do the same thing, I have this knight here who can take, while the pawn's still there to deal with the knight? Question mark? I don't know. I just want that queen to die. Okay, I'm being permitted that. You gave up your queen for a knight, and you invited my queen in, and she's exactly the piece I want here to defend. This is fantastic, I think. Alright, what happened up here? He did not try some time-traveling nonsense. That's nice. And you left this knight... What happened on this board? You just threw this knight away, basically, and leave me a very, very appealing play here. Now, is this hanging something important? Like, this queen is getting very close to threatening checkmate. We take here, pushing the king that way, and then we back up, and soon we're attacking the past king. Or actually here... I guess the space is defended by the alternate universe queen and king and bishop. So maybe we don't want to dive in quite so readily, huh? Maybe I just want to keep my queen in place. Actually, I could send my queen here to deal with this pesky knight. But I don't think he's pesky just yet. So let's just take this. I don't think this queen is that important. Oh, no, she is. She's threatening to come over here and just deliver an ordinary checkmate with the knight. So let's deflect that by threatening to take the knight before she gets over there. Now the knight can't remain protection of this square. If the queen comes over here to threaten it, we take the knight, and now the queen's unprotected. Or she would be if she moved here. Okay, what happened? The knight retreated. That's good news. And down here, moved your bishop to the 7th rank. Or your rook to the 7th rank. That seems quite poor. I'm a little reluctant to move any of these guys. They seem too important. I think this is a good line in both worlds, honestly. There's no longer much threat of this knight getting into this area because my pawns are doing pretty well at protecting the light squares, and a dark knight can only move to light squares. So the bigger threat, I think, is a queen arriving on this diagonal, actually. Maybe I need to do something about that. Yeah, how far back in time is that an issue? This pawn just moved up last move, so... Right now, You... yeah. Ugh. Ah. This bishop, though, is protecting this square, right? See, he can move there if he has to. So if the queen ever tries something sneaky like getting here, my bishop can just hop over and grab her. And if she goes into the past and lands here, this bishop will be able to grab her. So I think we're doing okay there. These knights actually, I guess, are doing a similar thing. So this space is all right for now, but it still is, I think, my most dangerous area, I guess. The area in which I need to be most cautious. What about knight here? It threatens the queen, which is fine. But it also threatens knight here, which is a check against the king. And knights who can get close to kings can do some really nasty timeline stuff. So I think this is fine. I still like the idea of threatening this square with my queen, but I don't think it's a real threat. It's just too well defended in the other dimension. Push the pawn? Does that accomplish anything? Not really. Maybe I'll get this knight going. I could also actually, you know what? There's been a straight line to this king for a long time. If my queen takes this pawn, that's game over. So this is threatening mate in one, right? Well, maybe it's more of like a mate in two, because I think this queen could go back 2 steps into the past and land on this square or something. No, there's the pawn there from her point of view. So, this seems alright. Okay, yeah, you're attacking. So what did you do? You just developed a bishop. So if I could resolve this threat on just this board, I would love to, because then I could plant my queen here and win. But I'm not being allowed to do that. Instead, I have to develop or move either the knight or the bishop in to grab this queen. Actually, she's not even attacking. I could just move my king. She's not attacking a past king yet. So that's an interesting thought. This is checkmate on this board, right? Isn't it? We'll have a board here, and then we'll go back in time 1 to here, 2 to here, 3 to here. Yeah, so this is checkmate on this board, and there's not really anything you can do about it from the other board. So I'd really, really, really like, if I can get away with it, to just move my king. And I think that should be okay, shouldn't it? Like, how far... Suppose that I just do like this, right? I just get out of the way. I'm not immediately under attack, and it's black's move. Black, at this point, must send a piece back in time from this board to somewhere. The queen would be the obvious choice, because she can go back quite far in time, right? In fact, to move 1. Wow, that's a little scary. Hello? All right, take me to the present. She's the first piece to ever arrive on this square, and she just got there. So I think that's such a huge threat, the idea of having to, like, okay, yes, I threaten checkmate a turn sooner compared to just capturing this queen, but the downside is I give my opponent a very, very appealing timeline to try to checkmate me in first, where he's up a queen and just has to find a way to mate in 11. So I think I won't do that. I think I'm just going to pick up this queen. This seems like the more cautious play to me. This checkmate can wait. I don't see black currently threatening to do anything about it. Should I come in with the bishop or the knight? I don't think it matters super much. Oh, this bishop is defending that piece, which is a little annoying. But not ultimately that big a deal, I think. I'm a little bit worried, though, that, like, if the bishop comes here and I make this threat, that black may send a piece a couple moves back in time, and then there'll be a bishop standing here 2 timelines ago, which 2 timelines over, which means it would be able to actually capture my queen from this dimension. So I'd sort of like, if possible, to make capturing with this bishop awkward, but I don't see a way to do that. Maybe it's just, oh, I'm defending that space with this knight as well. So I think if black does try to grab this, I would like to delay the checkmate threat on this board even more and retake with the knight. So it's not which one of these pieces do I want over there now, it's which one do I want left after the bishop takes that matters. And I think the knight is pretty useless, so I want the bishop over there. So let's take with the knight now, so that I can have a bishop later if necessary. Yep. All right. So here we go. That was the plan. And I still have a pretty big threat here. What even happened on this board, by the way? You, something happened to this bishop, right? No. I'm confused. Undo move. I'm looking at this board. Ah, you developed the rook. Got it. That doesn't seem very productive. I think I'm in good shape here. Every time in previous videos that I've said that, I immediately lose, by the way. So just keep that in mind. This is kind of interesting, which I hadn't realized, is that I was actually threatening mate in 1 on this board as well. This knight getting here checks this king, and there's no defense to it because he's protected by the bishop. So I think we just come out here. What exactly can black do about this queen? I think black actually, believe it or not, does have a resource that would allow him to deal with this queen in an interesting way. But I do have a counterattack to that. Watch this. Okay, so this queen, like, first of all, you can't make any move on this board that resolves it, because if you do, it's my turn, and I just go grab a king in the past. So, like, although this bishop could go pretty far back in the past, it doesn't matter, because a move on this board is resignation. So I only have to look at moves from this board to protect this queen, right? There's nothing that right now can get to this queen. And so the question is there anything that could, like, you could send into the past and then get to the queen? Well, who can move into the past? The bishop can not go far, 1 move, maybe. This knight could go 2. This knight could go 2, you know, whatever. But if they do that, how are they going to capture my queen? And I think that the answer is this pawn. No, because this pawn will be 2 timelines away. If you go back. I was thinking if you go back in time, this pawn will be able to move forward in time and in timeline, but stay still on the board and grab this queen. That doesn't work, though, because the board would be over here. So I think the real threat is like a knight who could get to here 2 timelines away somehow, could jump here. But I can prevent all of this nonsense by just checking on this board. Any check prevents the opponent from doing any time traveling except with their king, which I don't think can go far enough back. So let's just pick up a pawn while we're at it. And this also, I think, will be threatening some interesting checks on this board just in case. So the king has gone back in the past, as predicted, but I don't think he can possibly succeed at defeating this queen. So I just have to find some move on this board that doesn't instantly lose. Well, no, because he can go back in time again, but not anywhere very interesting, I think. None of the major pieces can go. This bishop can't go much of anywhere. I could just do this and threaten the same checkmate on this board, right? No, it actually doesn't. Because this king hasn't been in place for long enough. That's kind of cute. But I like the idea of checking this king so that you can't do any sneaky time travel with any other pieces. And if left alone long enough, this queen will develop a threat against this guy as well in case he somehow escapes. Like, I don't see how he could, but yeah, let's just do that. Nice quiet move. Back in time one more time, just delaying the inevitable. And we can actually get a checkmate on this board as well, I think. Yeah, because this king is under threat. He could escape into the past. The timeline would be inactive, but he wouldn't be being checked, so that would be okay. But this king is also under attack by my bishop, and so is this king. So this is like 3 checkmates at once, I think. Maybe just 2. Just 2. This board. But this bishop is checkmating 2 kings, so that's why it's 3. Okay. Only 1. Ah, I see. Because once black makes a move on this board, this bishop will be in this space, and there's no king here to attack. Attacking this king is silly because he's not there anymore. So we have this checkmate, which can't be prevented. Ah, well, okay. So we are attacking this king. He could run away, right? Although, actually he can't because he has no past to go to. And if he runs sideways in time, he's still being attacked. If he goes here, we're attacking fewer kings, I guess, but it's still 1, so that's an illegal move. So, okay, we are getting both of this king and this king and this king are all in check. And there's nothing you can do about it. So how's this? I saw on a Discord server that I hang out on, the Prismata Discord, for those longtime fans who remember when I used to play Prismata on the channel. Someone new to the game showed a finished game against, I assume, a fairly easy AI that was a much, much taller. He had it only went to moves 7 or 8, and there were 15 timelines. It was this big. It was unreal. I don't know. My games seem to go pretty long in just one dimension until I find either the computer or I finds an opportunity to go back in time for some big advantage. In this game, it doesn't look like I created a big advantage by going back with this knight, right? This board is not the kind of board I like to jump into, but I think it was actually a very important play to notice because the computer was about to have time to go back in time for a very, very big play, i.e. checkmate, I think. I've sort of lost track of the exact details. No, yeah. This knight. I wish there was a way like Prismata's analysis mode where I could say like, let's play the game out again. Just let me see what would have happened if we'd done X, Y, and Z. I think still that I'm right. This knight could go back in time and grab this pawn. Or go 2 steps back in time and land here. I'm not sure which is better. I think it's better to take this pawn, yeah, because you need the king to step forward for this to work. You go back in time 2 steps and grab this pawn. The king has to take because he's in check and no one else can reach, or because a passed king's in check and no one else can reach. Actually, is a passed king in check? I guess so. I had castled long enough ago that I think it would apply. Anyway, then when I step up, this knight moves here and is checkmating a passed king. So I think this was actually like the computer was about to checkmate me, and I found the computer's opportunity to go back in time and nipped it in the bud. So I don't have a huge advantage here, but I prevented a big disadvantage and was able to eventually work something out on these timelines that was a big threat. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.